we've gotten too far into this new numbering scheme. I can't remember what number We Were Gamers this is.
130 something.
130 episodes. Whoa.
11-2.
What a jump.
No. I just chose a number.
That's cool. 1 year later. It's like the new 52 of We Were Gamers. Hey, guys. How's it going?
Doing well. How are you, Andrew?
Good.
I was a little bit late, unfortunately, to our recording session here because there was a minor rice-related mishap for our dinner tonight.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we were making some chicken, like some orange chicken and rice. Very simple dinner. We were both coming in late from some other stuff, and we're like, okay, we'll just start the rice maker here. Everything will be good. Real easy,
You have a rice cooker, one of those pressurized ones?
Yeah, and it's wonderful. I love that thing. It's extremely easy to use and works perfectly, right? Like it cooks the rice and the rice.
Go.
Yeah, and the rice hangs out until you're ready to use it.
All of my rice cooker related problems have been operator error.
Well, it's funny that you say that because the rice, it takes quite a while to cook rice, even in those things, right? It's like 30 minutes or more, depending on how much you're making or whatever, minimum. And we had been sitting there for quite a while, and there was no steam, nothing happening out of that rice cooker. It was showing the blank symbol that it does while it's getting ready or whatever.
Did your rice cooker fail to boot?
Oh no. Well, that's what we started wondering. It turned out we hadn't hit the button for start.
Uh-oh.
So it had been sitting there doing exactly nothing this entire time.
But it shows the same symbol?
No, so it turns out it doesn't show the same symbol. But the symbol is similar enough that in our minds, it was the same one.
It's one of those moments that long-term couples have, and I think that probably everybody on this pod's relationship has had, where you assumed the other person did it because the other person assumed you did it because that's the way you guys work,
Yeah, and I don't know, who is at fault here.
No, that's the thing. It's or anyone,
right? Yeah, exactly. No one is at fault. We both thought it was working just fine.
Right, exactly.
If we had known that no one had pushed start, we would have done it. But
right.
Yeah, so we sat there for a good 20 minutes waiting for rice to cook that wasn't cooking at all. It was, honestly, we both walked over, we opened it, we were like, is it even warm? What's going on? Is it broken? Did we not plug it in? Is the switch off for the wall unit or something? And then you open the top, it's it's not even on.
Yeah, that's when you're resetting breakers before you check the right...
You check all the complicated stuff first, because you assume obviously someone hit start, right?
Yeah, exactly. We're like, okay, so we open the top, it's that cancels it. So we're like, okay, well, what did we do here? You hit the thing and then you hit go, and then now it's making a different symbol. We're like, neither of us press start. Oh God.
Perfect.
So that was my my hilarious mishap of time wasted, literally doing nothing, waiting for rice to also do nothing.
I love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It just makes everybody feel better to know that we're not the only ones, No.
If that's ever happened to you, I feel all of your pain.
Write in and tell us about it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Podcast. WeWereGamers.com. Have you had a rice-related mishap?
Yes.
A rice
Please make me feel less bad.
A Rice-O-Noni, if you will.
Named the pod. We're done. Let's go home.
I was also going to ask if we can just remove Michael from the pod right now.
You can edit that out if you want to.
It's too good to edit out, but also too bad to let go.
Hurts so good.
Schadenfreude.
Yes.
Yeah. You know what'll make you feel better, JJ?
What, Andrew?
I think if we listened to a transmission from Agent Zero Cool, we'd all feel a little bit more productive, right? We're going to progress in some Portal.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, portal gun. Okay.
Started off strong.
2 levels, but I got my portal gun. It's so exciting. It makes a very satisfying sound.
It does make a satisfying sound.
He's just going to town.
Wow. Okay.
And we're out.
Andrew, was this the whole file? Did we load the wrong thing or something?
That's number 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Where's number... No, this number 3 does not... No, hold on. We do just a little pre-production minute here, or post-production minute. We've got all the transmissions come through weekly-ish, and we're a little bit behind. So I have the next one, but we plan on doing one a week. This is it. The next one doesn't connect. I'm listening to the next one. It doesn't.
Okay.
It's not.
That was this week's then.
So he just really enjoyed the sound of that portal gun.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a good sound. Like, it's like a cross between like throwing a rubber ball at a wall and like a thump.
It felt like I was listening to people play racquetball.
Actually, that's a really good analogy.
I wonder, sound design in games is so cool. And we could talk about another game which has really cool sound design in a second, but like thinking about how they made that sound, maybe they did make it by throwing, like the Foley artist is there, what sound can this make? And maybe they threw a rubber ball.
Because like you think about it, right? Like, how do you design this stuff, right? Like I've heard all kinds of stories about how, for shooting video games to go out and record actual gunfire and stuff, but then they don't use it because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like what you think shooting a gun would sound like, even though it's literally what shooting a gun sounds like. And so, they take it and they like pitch it down or up or speed it up a whole bunch or slow it down and then like add all these other effects on top of it to make it sound better even than the actual thing in real life. Yeah. So and now you're making a sound for something that doesn't even exist in nature. Like, where do you start? You go like, what if I threw a ball at a wall? Like, how does that process work?
Yeah, and the idea being, it's kind of like the portal gun pops a bubble, right? Like, you're making that pop sound, pop, 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 where you're popping like bubble machine bubbles. But yeah, you're doing it, but to create this like very deep bass sound. It's interesting. But they must have done similar things on. Let's just jump into it. BattleTech.
Yeah,
I've gotten very used to the sounds of different weapons in that game.
I've gotten very used to the sound of missiles exploding because I've been using a lot of those.
And laser beams. Medium lasers specifically have very distinct sound.
Hopefully all these weapons are yours and not being used on you.
I mean, they definitely use the same weapons on you. But most of the ones doing good work are mine.
The only ones I really cringe at is when I hear a PPC come out of the darkness.
Or like an autocannon, because you don't know if it's like a big one.
That's true. There's no real way to tell if the autocannon is big or small based on the sound.
Yeah, you just hear it hit you, and then you hope that it didn't blow your arm off.
Well, and the other thing is I didn't used to fear the missile sound. Like, Michael saying, hopefully it's not headed my way. And it's kind of like, it's missiles, whatever. And then I ran into some missions very recently with little tanks that are called LRM carriers.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And
you have now met the real most dangerous enemies in BattleTech.
The missiles don't stop.
Not just LRM carriers, Andrew. There's the true most dangerous enemy, the SRM carrier.
The missiles don't stop.
No. There's a really funny GIF out there on the internet of a streamer who was fighting some mission and there was an SRM carrier, which is like, to be clear, Michael, to give you like a idea, it's like a little tank, right? But if you took the turret off the tank and you just put like a giant bank of missiles.
Sounds pleasant.
Yeah, and it's like 10 LRM-6s or something.
So it fires 60 missiles.
Or like 10 SRM-4s or whatever.
But my biggest mech fires 10, right?
Yeah, you can get ones that shoot 15 LRMs or 20 LRMs at a pop, but like they have big drawbacks, right?
Sure.
And this little thing is it's like a tank-sized little thing, and it shoots basically an unending stream of missiles. And this GIF is just like this tiny little tank walking up to this guy. He's on top of a ridge, and he's just like, "Oh, it's just a little tank, no problem." And it just starts shooting missiles, and he's like, you just see his mouth keep he's looking at it, and it just gets wider, and he's like, "What's going on?" And the stream of missiles keeps going. He's like, "Stop! Stop! Stop!" And it doesn't. And then like his mech falls over at the end.
Yeah.
And he's just like, "How many were there?" The SRM and LRM carriers are horrible nightmares in that game.
SRM and LRM carriers have taught me don't bother to shoot at vehicles, run straight at them and step on them.
Okay.
Stepping on them does a lot of good work. But sometimes you need to shoot at them because you can't get there fast enough, and if they do that again, you're going to have a really bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still enjoying your time with BattleTech?
Yeah, I'm loving it. There are also PPC carriers that mount 3 PPCs on a tank too. If you haven't seen those yet, that's not fun either. But yeah, I'm really liking it. I have gotten a couple of the heaviest class of mechs now, the Assault, and that's pretty cool. My company seems to have hit like a good stride. I feel like I've found some loadouts that I like. A lot of which revolve around missiles, funnily enough.
You just kind of go for knockdown, right? Like shoot as many missiles at one target as possible and then headshot it?
So you don't even need to headshot it most of the time, I find. The knockdown strategy gives you a lot of different options, but basically you knock them down, yeah. You can do like a kill on the pilot pretty easily with knockdown also. If they stand up, you knock them down again, they stand up, you knock them down again, right? And like you blow off like one of their arms, torsos, that takes another pilot injury, and eventually the pilot's going to die after falling over 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, it's like falling over, torso damage, and ammo crits, right? Those can all damage the pilot.
Right, and typically, a lot of ammo gets stored in those torso pieces, it turns out. So that's a really good way to do it. Also, you can shoot one of their legs off. That'll cause another knockdown. It's really just hard to rely on head hits. But if you have a mech with like a machine gun or whatever, running it up and having it shoot a couple machine gun shots is a good way to fish for a head hit for a bonus injury or whatever. But I have found to be the easiest way to kill stuff. Unfortunately, though, you have to do a lot of like thinking and counting because damage that goes beyond the amount you need to blow up a piece spills over into like the center torso piece.
Oh, and you don't want to blow that up accidentally.
Yeah.
Right, and if you blow the center up, you get nothing, right? All your work trying to keep the mech intact is gone if the center torso blows up. Or if you just don't care, you can just blow it up straight away and not care. I find Melee to be very fun for that reason.
I found myself in missions when I've seen all these mechs before. It's like, I don't want any of these mechs. I just sort of center fire on everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've run into a glitch. And you need to tell me if this is a glitch or not a glitch.
The person glitch? I think she starts on your team.
The person glitch. I think I have a glitch. My glitch and my Decker both have high spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had high spirits since the beginning of the game. And I'm 500 plus days in.
Yeah, so you do have a bug there. I don't understand how it happens. And I think neither do they necessarily. But somehow doing some series of things causes that high spirits, or in some cases low spirits, the reverse of that. High spirits being a buff to your overall morale and low spirits being the reverse, can cause it to stick forever. Essentially, like if you go into the screen where you view all your mech warriors or whatever on your ship, it just shows them with 0 days remaining or whatever of the buff. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be like a time-limited thing. Yeah, and that is apparently permanent until they figure out a way to de-permanent it. So yes, you do have a permanently bugged person there.
It's made them quite valuable people to bring on my missions.
Permabuff, you don't say.
Yeah. Yes, it turns out being able to activate the precision strike ability very frequently or to constantly reserve them so they get bonus initiative is pretty good. Actually, these days I use the reserve, or not reserve, the what's the other one, Andrew?
It's like bulwark, but not.
Yeah, the point of it is it removes all the stability damage, and you still get to shoot after that. That's the most important thing about it.
Oh, wait, so the one next to precision strike, the blue ability, you can move, you can
Yes.
shoot afterwards?
Yes.
I've been afraid to click it because I thought it would just end my turns.
No, I think it does not end your turn. It will. Well, I'm pretty sure I know you can shoot after it. I don't remember if you move. I think you move, you activate that, and then you can shoot.
Wow.
But you can't use. I don't think you can use precision strike then. So you can't do two back to back.
That would make sense.
Whatever.
Crazy.
It increases your initiative by 1, which is super useful. It removes all your stability problems for that mech, and then that's the most useful part of it, is that it keeps your guys from getting knocked down. And if you have a person who is, let's say, prone to getting shot in the head a bunch, I feel like I just have people who are unlucky sometimes.
I feel like I've had missions where it's like, why is every mech getting shot in the head? And then the next mission, nothing bad happens to me. But then the hardest missions are the ones where I'm taking like pilot damage like crazy, arms are flying off my mechs. So I just did one. I don't think I've done the hardest mission in the game yet, but I've done the one where you had to defend a facility which had walls on 3 sides and it had like supply depots in it. And one of the bonuses is no buildings take damage. Well, that's impossible because they drop 3 lances of mechs on 3 different sides of you. So you'd have to like split your team in thirds and have one mech take a full lance.
Yeah. That mission is very difficult.
It was extremely hard, and then it got harder when my pilots were starting to take head hits, and I had to protect them from getting knocked over because they'd die.
Yep. So it is only a chance that they die, even though it will show them as dead in the in-game UI. I think that's probably something they need to address, because your guys don't always die there.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely says dead.
Yes, it definitely says dead, but you may find out after the mission is over that they survived but took a lot of injuries.
Whoa.
Also, I believe that your player character is immortal, and so will never die.
He doesn't count for a birth,
max injuries.
A mech warrior birth either.
Yeah. So I guess you don't pay yourself here.
We had an interesting run-in, Michael. Have you ever played games with like faction bonuses and stuff like that? Like if you're good with this faction, you get XYZ.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, so how do you usually play those types of games where you like maybe you have to focus on one like country or one type of mission, or how do you approach those types of games? Do you worry about faction alignments? Do you not? Do you focus on it? Do you wait to see what happens?
Sometimes. I think generally when I do that, I'll pick a play style of how I want to go through missions, and then lean on factions that help me with that. I don't know if that makes sense.
So if the faction gives you some sort of technical bonus, you're interested in it.
Right. So if I'm going a heavy tech strategy and one of the factions offers more tech bonuses than one of the others, then I would lean in that direction.
Okay. And
what if like the factions basically, when you're in their area, you just get like big discounts on their shops?
That's not bad.
It's unenthusiasm.
I'm weighing the benefits of it.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing because I didn't know quite the range. They have a faction system in this game where you have to build up rep with people so that you get like better missions or whatever. But so far, it seems like the only bonus that JJ has found, and he's a little further in the game than me, is that you get faction discounts on their planets for buying stuff.
Okay.
You do also get better missions and stuff, though. I've seen ones that say, "Hey, your reputation isn't high enough to take this mission."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So for whatever that's worth,
I guess I would probably ask: can you can you be friendly with more than one faction so you get multiple bonuses?
I also
are they
don't know the
exclusive?
answer to that. I know that you can definitely be friendly with more than one at a time, but I don't know if, like, at some point doing things for one is going to earn you penalties with others.
I've noticed that when I do Arano missions, it hurts my rep with the Directorate.
Being that the story is that those two factions are at war, that makes some amount of sense.
But most of the other missions have been like versus pirates or something. There hasn't been where, this faction wants to go to war with Steiner or Davian and you have to fight their mechs. I haven't seen that yet.
I've definitely taken missions that were like, hey, they have a base on this facility or on this planet and we would like to have that base. Why don't you go get it for us? And that way we can maintain plausible deniability. And so you're like, okay, and you go do it, and then they give you some rep or money or whatever at the end of and I didn't see a negative towards the other one, but maybe that's just them going, oh, it wasn't us. Look, it was these mercenary guys. Who knows who could have done it? But also, like, that doesn't seem like it would stand in that world. People would figure it out.
So JJ and I approached the faction bonuses a little bit differently. I really kind of scuttled my money intake on the first half of the game to try and get my rep up really fast.
Okay.
With people. I would feel safe saying, JJ, you did not?
Yeah, I took like little bits of rep here and there, but mostly was like all about either salvage or just straight cash, homie.
So in these mission briefings, you can negotiate what you want out of the mission, and it's either rep, salvage, or money. And I'm now allied. I haven't even done the 4th story mission yet, and I'm now allied with Arano and almost allied with the Capellans.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it caps out around 100. So I've gotten some interesting missions from them, and I think that those are probably better because I'm allied, but beyond that, I don't know that I was good to have given up so much money so early, and I couldn't tell how I should have played it. And it's weird. It's weird that the system isn't laid out exactly.
You know, I think also it's worth pointing out that the game doesn't really do anything to tell you what you should be doing, and since the missions are randomly generated, it's like it doesn't make there's no, other than the threat of going bankrupt, there's really nothing stopping you from just continually ignoring the story mission and going off and flying your own little mercenary company forever. So I don't think it was necessarily a problem. Like you said, you like cut back on your money intake. Well, yeah, you would have had more money. But like, you know, what would you have spent it on necessarily, right? Like, were you spending it on parts and stuff still anyway? You know, so that stuff is like, it's not really a big difference, whether you take the rep now and then gain the long-term benefits of getting stuff for cheaper in the later time, or pay the high fees now and get rep later or whatever.
Gotcha.
As far as I can tell anyway, who knows? Maybe I'll end up going to war with literally everyone in this area by the end of the story, and then, you know, it'll make a big difference.
It's been an interesting ride. I don't know. I'm still not as far in the story as you, but I'm into it. I think I need to start focusing on the story missions a little more. I've just been doing side stuff and it's starting to get a little repetitive.
Yeah, I can definitely say that they force you to do some side stuff between every story mission. I don't think that's like a spoiler. So, you know, you're going to get to see that side stuff. Don't worry about it.
Right on. Well, that's good for BattleTech. Whew. You see, it gets you excited thinking about it, and also kind of a little bit nervous, right? Where you're like, oh, do I drop my full lance in here? Do I take a light mech? I don't know. And then...
Okay, one more thing about BattleTech, Andrew. As you start to get heavier mechs and later game units, it starts to take a lot longer to do these missions.
Yeah, the movement slows down a bit, huh?
And not just the movement, though. But like when you just literally have a lot more health, you have to shoot through for everyone.
Oh, they're mechs too, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going up against an assault and 3 heavies, it's a lot more shooting that has to get done, right?
Fair
Anyway,
point.
the missions take a lot longer, and I can't just like bang one out in 15 minutes like I used to be able to.
Yeah,
And
when there were 4 locusts and you can center shoot all of them and you're done in 5 minutes.
It's a little distressing sometimes. Okay, enough Battletech.
Speaking of distressed, who saw Avengers?
Oh yeah.
Yes, I also saw it.
All right.
So good.
Caveat from here to the end of the episode. Spoilers?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we have to talk
Pretty
about spoilers.
heavy.
Okay.
And like serious, we're going to talk about everything.
Second-
And probably all the Marvel movies before this, there's a chance that we might say something. So just,
I feel like if you haven't seen those, except maybe Black Panther, that's on you.
Second warning. Every Marvel movie, including the most recent one that just came out, 2 weeks ago because we couldn't be topical.
it's not on brand for us.
No.
I liked it.
I actually was shocked that I enjoyed it as much as I did, given how ridiculously long it was.
I don't see how it could have been any shorter considering how many people they tried to focus on and how many stories they tried to tell at one time.
Yeah, there was so much going on. There was no way you could have cut it back.
I totally agree. I still wish it was like 10 minutes shorter.
Some of these...
I absolutely agree that you couldn't have cut anything, but I think it needed to be shorter somehow.
Well,
I
there's
don't know.
definitely stuff that I think you could cut. There's discussions like, why aren't Hawkeye and Ant-Man here? Oh, they're under house arrest, so we can't possibly bother them to help us save the universe. Like, there's minutes in there to cut out where you're like, just ignore. Don't do that stuff. The feeling I did get, though, was that it could have been shorter if they'd done something different, which they absolutely decided not to do, which was end Thor Ragnarok with this opening of this movie.
Okay, with him ambushing the Asgardian ship.
Right.
That might have made a more fitting end or a more dramatic end to Thor Ragnarok, which was an otherwise fun movie.
Yeah, it would have been an off brand for Ragnarok, but did anybody else have the weird feeling like at the beginning of this movie you're kind of like, well, okay, spoiler number 1 here, Loki died. I don't feel anything.
Yeah, I mean, he literally got tossed off. Like,
Yeah.
Thanos grabs him and is like, I know you're tricking me. Give me the stone. And he's like, what do you mean? What stone? And then he just like wrecks him completely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Hulk jumps at him and he's like, no. Just like knocks him away. So there went that argument immediately. Like, who's going to win, the Hulk or Thanos? It's Thanos. Not even close. And then, yeah, you just see like Loki get murked like a chump almost.
And what, Helmdir also gone.
Heimdall.
Yeah, there we
yeah.
go. Heimdall. But see, so like that, there was a lack of impact with like, we had this Thor Ragnarok movie, hooray! And then the beginning of this movie is just like, oh, they're all dead.
And like, where was that Valkyrie person, the girl from that? Wasn't she on that ship?
Good question.
Where was the dude that Thor was with in the prison? The like, hey, okay, mate, like guy that the rock dude that Thor was with, wasn't he on that ship?
Yeah.
Like, you get questions.
Rip.
And then they mentioned later, they're like, oh well, some of the Asgardians got away, and you're like, well, which ones, man? You didn't show any of that.
Yeah, that was a troubling opening for me. It really improved from there. I thought.
Yes, I think I wonder, and again, this probably got sacrificed on the altar of this movie, was already too long. They didn't show him acquiring the Power Stone at all. You didn't see Zandalar or anything that happened to that place since they were ostensibly holding the stone. He just had it, and then later you hear a line, oh yeah, he trashed that place and took the stone.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I guess.
How did it fit for you tone-wise with all the recent movies? I mean, Black Panther was a fantastic film and very upbeat. Ragnarok was a little bit like, ooh, wow, they really kind of blew everything up here, but it was still really funny. The Guardians movies are hilarious. So the only one that was tonally similar would maybe be Civil War. And then we get to this one where they're like cracking jokes a good amount, but at the same time, the stakes are Loki died in the opening minutes, and more happens throughout the movie that is supposed to make you sad. Do you think that they've split the line well enough to have pulled this off?
I feel like they did. Having to insert so many characters, like the Guardians of the Galaxy storyline that is constantly so funny, with some of the characters like Doctor Strange, who is probably the other end of the spectrum in seriousness. I think they found a nice middle ground in between the two to, have you laughing at things but not be like side-splittingly funny, but not soberingly serious.
Yeah, there's definitely, you could see like where they had to do some work to make the characters who were used to acting in a certain way get along with the ones who weren't, right? Where the scene where Rocket and Thor are together in the little pod thingy or whatever, and Rocket's like, okay, I have to be the captain now, and like goes over to have the talk with Thor about his feelings and how his family is all screwed up, right? And it's like that's them trying to inject levity into a situation where like you get Thor gives that talk and you're like, dude, this is dark. He's had all his brothers, all his family has just been murdering each other and lying for untold centuries or whatever. That's grim, dude.
But he also speaks Groot.
It was an elective.
Yeah. You, tree.
You know what made me the most sad, I think, about, since we're on Thor right now, is that Thor has that, right? Like, he's gone from being Thor in the first Avengers movie where his hair was long and he was kind of a joke with a butt of jokes, right? To now being very funny on his own. His hair is now short. He's been betrayed. He doesn't have any family left. And in the last movie, he lost his eye, right? And he's the god of thunder. He's lightning everywhere. It's freaking awesome. And then they try to like retcon some of it out, where they're like, well, he gets an axe instead of a hammer, and we'll give him his eye back. And it seemed a little hemmy-holly to me. No.
I don't think I minded it too much. It did the comic book thing of like, hey, this is a different story arc now, so we need him to be in a different place over here, which I can understand being annoying if you're watching it as one through line, but it's been a while since I saw Thor Ragnarok. I didn't really remember all that stuff too carefully. I knew he didn't have the eye, and I guess I figured they had this pretty guy playing him. They weren't going to make him wear an eye patch forever.
Oh, man. I liked the eye patch so much.
Yeah, I kind of like the symbolism of him turning into his father with the eye patch.
Right? That was the whole idea. That was the whole point of it. If he was going to turn into his father, he wouldn't have a hammer. He wouldn't have an axe, right? He would have the lightning, and he would have the missing eye. So it's weird to backtrack the symbolism of that in the middle of a movie where symbolism probably was really important for a lot of this. Because Thor is basically their only chance of winning.
Yeah, and that's how they play it. And I wanted to talk with you guys a little bit about that. Do you really feel like they did everything they could to prevent what happens at the end of that movie? It seemed like there were a couple instances where they just gave up and were like, okay, let's move this along. Like, the time stone specifically, like, didn't Doctor Strange literally do the thing in his movie where he goes, Dormammu, I've come to bargain, and then, like, they just keep doing it over and over until he gets what he wants?
So I've got a theory about that. I think that the whole Strange giving up of the stone is all part of the one scenario that he saw.
He saw 14 million scenarios, right?
Right, and only one of them they succeeded. And I think giving up the stone either because for one of two reasons. I'm gonna say either he had to give up the stone because the gauntlet had to be completed, or Tony had to live. One of those two things had to happen for the end game to come out the way they wanted it, and you only got one with the other.
And I understand that, but literally you have infinite time, right? He only saw 14 million. Well, he has as much time as he wants, man. We'll rewind it back. Look at 14 million more. Look at 80 million more. Look at every infinite possibility, right? Like, he only saw one that worked in that little window of time that he had. Well, like, rewind it. Look at 14 billion. Anyway, the time travel stuff, of course, makes everything very difficult to talk about. That was just the, like, one aspect that I'm sure kind of annoyed me, which also I'm at least somewhat certain will prove to be a point that matters later in the next movie, I suspect, because that time stone will probably come into play again in order to move the universe forward again after this ending.
It's always interesting to see, right? Because the time stone thing, yeah, you could always roll back. You can always roll back, but then sometimes when you do roll back, you might roll back past the things you don't want to change, right? So
sure,
Thanos doesn't roll back, he just clicks the hand, because there's a chance if he rolls back before Thor stabs him, then he doesn't get it off, or what, you know what I mean? Like, so, I don't know. Time travel is always the sticking point of a bunch of Star Trek episodes and a bunch of other stuff where you're like, I just feel like they were like, and then time travel. So we'll see. I guess you just can only wait and see on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that gauntlet looked like it got wrecked.
Messy concept.
Yeah, that was. I guess we're just going to jump and talk about the ending here, which, I mean, fair. It's probably the most interesting thing to discuss, right? So I saw some people talking about saying that they thought the gauntlet was like destroyed and wouldn't work anymore. Do we think that?
The gauntlet is definitely wrecked.
I don't know about not working though.
So, like, did it use up its juice doing the snap so that now he can't snap again and do another 50%? Or is it just like, is it now just a holding place for the stones? Do the powers stop working now? Like, those are the questions that I have.
Well, they definitely show it. It seems like it's been crushed down onto his arm.
Yeah, because his arm got zapped too.
Did in that last scene, did we see him wearing it?
Yes. Yeah, that's where you can see it looks like it was like crushed down onto his arm and probably won't come off again.
Because I was definitely looking to try and I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to his hand at the time to see if he was still wearing it or not. And I wondered if he had taken it off or something.
Yeah. That's another wait and see moment for what, next year?
Yeah, so I didn't know when the next one comes out. Is it next year?
I thought 2019 is what I heard.
Yeah. And in between now and then is Captain Marvel?
And Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Which is why they made an excuse that there's no Ant-Man in this movie.
Right.
Maybe Hawkeye is in that movie too.
I don't understand what's going on with him. I don't know if there's some contractual stuff going on or what, but
maybe he's just a dude, and just a dude isn't that interesting.
Yeah, maybe. One of my problems with this was kind of like this was their opportunity to, and it's not a problem. I don't know why they didn't do it. There's an opportunity, though, to have that moment where all the TV heroes come to help out,
Too much.
Dude.
I think it would have been too much.
What if just in the background of one of those, like, you don't want Punisher and Daredevil to roll up?
No, because I haven't seen any of the TV shows and I don't care about them at all.
Just in the background? Okay, fine.
Because then you're going to get all the people complaining, why didn't they have a bigger part? And
because they never get any parts in the thing. That's why Sam Jackson is now relegated to the credits.
I think that is exactly the point. They are not crossing the TV and movie streams, and I think it is the right choice.
It was the only opportunity. I just thought I'd mention it and see what you thought.
I know there's probably a lot of like people who are big fans of that universe who are bummed out about that. I think this flows one direction. It goes from movies to TV, not the other way.
It makes sense. I wouldn't have expected it to happen. I just thought there was like these opportunities to just throw them in scenes in the background and not even mention it, you know?
Like Dr. Tobias Funke.
He was in there, and that was great.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
He was. There's still the government agency in the background of this being like, "Rawr, Avengers, you suck." Why?
Because they had to pick up that story thread that existed already at the end of Civil War, and they had never done anything with again, right? Or at the end of Ultron, right?
Civil War, yeah.
Civil War.
Oh, yeah, Civil War, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to pick up all the little threads that people have talked about. I overall really liked it. I thought there were things to discuss in there to see what you thought of where maybe it struggled with its length or its acknowledgments of everything. I don't know.
Yeah. One of the things that surprised us when we saw it was their choice in I'll say who not to kill.
Yeah, so the thing that the choice at the end of who died and who didn't, right? Like who disappeared or whatever. That choice almost guarantees that it's going to be undone in some fashion. And it gives the ending of that movie kind of a lot less weight because of it.
That was my wife's problem with it, was that she thought they were too heavy-handed with, they have to bring them back now.
Yeah, because like there are announced sequels for some of these movies that are coming out not that long from now. They're already slated, planned movies for like Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the next Spider-Man movie.
The next Doctor Strange.
And like, I get it. Not everyone pays attention to their movie schedules and like what's coming out and what isn't. But like, if you do, it's a dead giveaway that this stuff is going to undo, right? Because like, so then does this give them the chance to like go back and kill the other half and like say, oh, this is fine. All the people who have movies are alive now and the people that don't are dead. Ha ha, we got you.
Yeah, I think they definitely kill more people in the second movie.
100%. But this is what you're talking about is there are people that don't have contracts going forward, right? That are still around. And so,
right.
What better way to write them out for their last final act to be to bring back all the people that are coming back? The thing I did notice was that the only people left essentially are the original Avengers. That's it.
Yes, I was just about to say that same thing.
Yeah.
That it's they put the band back together.
It's Rhodey plus the original Avengers, and that's the only people there.
I guess I didn't think about that, but Thor is still alive, right?
Thor's an original Avenger.
Oh, that's right. He was in Avengers 1. I was trying to think who... Yeah, War Machine wasn't there before.
No, he replaced Hawkeye, essentially.
So, yeah. Right. So that's where I'm getting to like, okay, why is Hawkeye not here? Because, come on. Like, I like Rhodey. Yeah. I like War Machine. He's fine to stick around. Don Cheadle's a great actor. But it just seems...
wasted in this movie.
It seems... Yes, true. Yeah. It seems just cheap to... he just must not want to be in it anymore. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he's decided that, his number is X and they don't want to pay X or whatever, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, so original Avengers somehow go... Basically, Thor goes and bests Ultron, right?
Plus
Thanos.
Plus Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so Thor and Captain Marvel show up.
Yeah, so, okay, you guys can walk me through this. I was never a big Captain Marvel fan or really even knew much about her or him, depending on which era of the comics we're reading. Someone told me that Captain Marvel is just Marvel's version of Superman. Yes, no?
Kind of.
And that's very reductive. I'm sure it's not exactly that way, but like on the level of power, that is like a much more powerful character than most of the standard superheroes. Whereas Superman is like the broken thing in the DC universe. That's Captain Marvel.
Sure. Yeah.
Marvel.
Like if you're going to like line up the powers and say that she's 85-90% as powerful, then yeah. I don't think that Captain Marvel's been not a woman.
Okay, I thought that maybe like in the like Gold and Silver Age stuff.
No, I think
I think there was a male Captain Marvel back when.
Carol Danvers has been around since the 60s, so I don't know if maybe
you all may be right, and I just don't know. Like I said, I've never was the biggest.
This is where we usually have
that hero.
I was going to say apologies to Ken, who is cringing right now.
This is where Ken's just screaming. Ken. Yeah. Oh well.
Send in emails to podcast@wewergamers.com about why I'm wrong. Okay, I was just trying to get a sense for the character because, like I said, I haven't really read any comics or anything about that person before.
So she's like, I think she's like a fusion, I think, of him. Maybe there is a dude because she's
Miss Marvel. There was a Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she's Miss Marvel, but now she's Captain Marvel because Marvel's gone, Mr. Marvel's gone or whatever. But they've both been around this whole time. I don't think that she existed or he existed before her, Carol Danvers.
He was Kree, I believe.
Is that who Mar-Vell is?
Yes. And okay. The name was a misunderstanding.
I've definitely heard that name referenced in things and did not know who that was.
Okay, we're piecing this together slowly.
Apologies to Ken still.
I think that's as much as my knowledge is. I know they got rid of the dude. She's the captain now. Thank you for understanding that reference, 5 of you.
Sure.
It was good.
One little moment that I did really like, because I flashed back to the moment when it happened originally, and I was like, we're going to see them again, was Red Skull as the Guardian of the Soul Gem.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I had a question.
Okay.
I did not do any homework before going to see this movie, so I didn't read any articles or rewatch any movies or anything. And I kind of wish I had rewatched some of them because I had totally forgotten where certain ones of the stones had been left off. Like I actually had no remembrance whatsoever that the Reality Stone was with the Collector. I guess I had blocked Thor 2 completely out of my mind. Which was maybe for the better. So didn't he die at the end of Captain America? How did he get over there? They never said anything.
The Tesseract opens up a portal into space, and he basically gets beamed through it. And they just sort of leave you to assume that he died in space somewhere.
Or that he just landed on that planet and was like, well, I guess I'm going to do this forever now. Was that... it was just very abrupt to just all of a sudden see that guy. I'm like, is this just a weird dude that looks like the Red Skull? No, okay, it's actually him. Okay, great.
It was one of the most jarring appearances. Just because it had been so long.
Yeah.
And no one had said anything about him. No one really had talked about him missing or anything.
I
guess most of the people from that time are dead.
There was that one kid who was like, when are they going to bring him back? That was for you, kid.
Well, he could come back through Miss Marvel or whatever now, right?
He's still not dead. He's still just chilling on that planet, I guess.
He seemed to be some
That's
sort
where
of
we left him, right?
Of some sort, though.
Maybe. Is he absolved of his responsibility now that someone has taken the gem?
He definitely had a lot of death-like qualities in that he seemed like he was a ghost and he was dressed like death was. And at the time, I wondered if they were going to get into some weird death stuff with Thanos, but they didn't, and I think I'm happy for that.
Yeah, he turned into a ring wraith. It's fine.
Well, since we're on Vormir, what do you think of the Gamora payoff?
Man, I don't know. I understand that that's who they had to kill there, because there was no, like, Thanos has made it pretty clear that she was the number one daughter, right? Compared with Nebula.
Yeah.
So I don't think there was a way of them getting out of it if that was going to be what they had, like, if that was going to be the condition to get the Soul Stone, right? That you had to kill someone you loved, then I think there is no other way for them to have written that story except to kill her. I don't know how much I buy him actually feeling that way about her, but again, since we only get all of Thanos' story basically in this movie, I think they did the best they could.
Yeah, they tried to set it up with the story of the dagger when he first finds her.
And that was a good scene. I liked it. I thought it was well acted, and gave like a good, kind of base for how they started off or whatever. Mm-hmm. But you had 2.5 movies worth essentially of her saying, I hate my dad hates me, he's a horrible murderer, blah, 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 blah. So like, it was hard to, dislodge myself from her point of view and see how Thanos felt, right?
Yeah. There's a small part of me too that wonders, is she actually dead, or is she trapped in the stone? Because that's part of what the Soul Gem does, yeah? No? Maybe?
So maybe all the people that died are trapped in the stone?
Yeah, they didn't really talk much about what the Soul Stone is or does, did they?
Other than that no one has really seen it or knows. That's kind of all you get.
They must all be trapped in the Soul Stone. And then oh, look, we broke it.
There's just a big party going on in there. Woo, we're all dead together.
Okay,
in this
so
weird
speaking of
lake.
Woo, we're all dead together. I understand Cap's point. But really? Like Vision...
Which
not the no one gets left behind.
No one gets left behind, but like Vision himself is a calculator. And he allowed them to just like not make the correct calculus.
But I think part of the point that they kept trying to make about Vision is that he's evolving beyond that because of the stone.
And then you wonder, well, is it because of the stone, or would the stone have, would he have been able to evolve without the stone's help? The stone just kind of catapulted him forward a bunch. I mean, I guess we're left with that question anyway.
Well, aside from him getting the stone, aside from Thanos getting the stone, like, think of all the people just in Wakanda alone that died because they wanted to, like... Right. Like, if you're Wakandan, wouldn't you... Where in there did the prince or princesses go, oh yeah, we're just going to sacrifice hundreds of thousands of people for this?
Well, War Council off screen. Don't need to see it. Sacrifice for time. Also, who else is even equipped, right?
And also, like, if he gets the stone, it's GG. So they're not going to just say, well, okay, we'll sacrifice the Vision here and then hope that he doesn't get all the other stones. Like, that's not the way.
But if you can't get that stone because they blew it up.
Sure, right.
They happen
look,
I don't know.
I think the Vision is right. They should have blown the stone up. And they tried to in the end, but, like, time powers.
Yeah, it would have just rewound it further.
I'm just shocked that somebody made that. Well, because he can't rewind past when he has the time stone, though, right?
Oh, that's true.
Because then he wouldn't have the time stone anymore.
Yeah, so, I mean, if Vision had forced Scarlet Witch to blow up the stone, like, right when they're meeting or whatever, like at the very beginning before Thanos gets there, while he's still fighting the other people or whatever. Like, would that have been it? Then no movie.
But if I'm Black Panther and I'm looking at like the lives of all my people, maybe versus no, let's just blow this thing up right now. I'm so sorry, friend. I'm not saying they made the wrong choice, but that it is a cerebral math there that's easier than the normal trolley problem, it would seem.
Maybe, but that does sort of fly in the face of the whole Wakandan, we're not going to impose our will on other people.
That's fine, but they went to them.
Sure.
They're in Wakanda.
And also I think it's not the heroic thing to do to make that kind of a sacrifice, right? To say, oh, well, the one is better, we save the many by sacrificing the one. The hero always chooses to never sacrifice anything and to sacrifice themselves if someone has to be sacrificed, right? So, you can understand it from that point of view, and I think Michael is right, but it would be the thing you would want your good ruler to make that choice if it was you as the one guy.
How many Marvel movies have we been through now?
So
and how many times has it played out this way? Like, these are the Avengers. They've seen this before. They saw it with Ultron. They saw, you know what I mean? Like, they know how this is going to play out. They know they're basically sacrificing thousands to not make an immoral choice. And that,
maybe when they reboot the Marvel Cinematic Universe into the Ultimate Marvel Cinematic Universe, we can get the gritty storyline that you want here.
Andrew. Yeah, I just know. Yeah. I don't know that it's the wrong writing. It just seems like such a more blatantly arguable trolley problem than normally. It just feels like a lot of people in this movie should have taken the opposite stand when they didn't. Just I'm throwing that out there. But the real problem I wonder about is how many Marvel movies could have been solved by somebody not losing their temper.
Oh, Peter Quill.
Yeah, come on, dude. Peter, keep it in check, dude. Come on.
See, like, how many, not even someone, how many Marvel movies have ended with, like, if Tony Stark didn't fly into an uncontrollable rage, if Peter Quill didn't fly into an uncontrollable rage, if Killmonger didn't fly into an uncontrollable rage.
# character flaw.
Although, the amusing part of that is that Bruce Banner spent the entire movie trying to fly into an uncontrollable rage and couldn't pull it off.
Oh, that's so perfect.
I think that's the best place to end this.
Yeah. Do we want to do predictions for the next movie?
Yeah, sure.
Anybody got one?
Other than that they all come back, because we've already done that one.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, that's my prediction.
Now you got to do something else.
Okay. I'll go first then.
Michael?
You know what? I'm going to go with my Gamora is trapped in the Soul Stone. Let's do that.
Okay. We already know that everyone's coming back. We know that Ant-Man and Captain Marvel will be in it. And it's likely that we lose at least one, if not 3 original Avengers. I guess maybe that's my prediction. We're going to lose 3 original Avengers.
Okay.
Permanently.
Okay. Do you want to hazard names, or you're just giving a number?
Black Widow, Captain America, and probably Rhodey.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with Andrew there. I think we definitely lose some of the original Avengers, but I think I will modify his list, and I say that it is Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man and Black Widow. But I I also wonder that if we will finally, hopefully, get the punch out between the Hulk and Thanos. That's going to be my guess.
Oh, you think they're going to throw down?
I would like to see them throw down for real.
Okay.
Maybe we get a more in control Banner, and
that's how we win
somehow.
Okay, so your prediction is the throwdown with the Hulk is what ends Thanos. Mine is that Thor takes him down. Michael?
I'm gonna give a nod to the comic books and go with the Nebula wild card.
Nebula wild card. Okay, so you're saying Captain Marvel ends him. All right. Well, there you have it.
Well,
that was We Were Gamers, and a lot about Avengers, which probably made every nerd mad. So, we'll see what our subscriber numbers after this week are.
If you want to complain to us about it, the email address is podcast@wewergamers.com. You can also hit us on Twitter and Instagram. We're @wewergamers. Facebook.com/wewergamers. Mash those like buttons.
You know what?
Follow, subscribe.
I'm not above if we get a lot of emails or hate mails or,
We'll talk about this more.
Mails. Doing a correction episode where we bring in actual expertise and then ask that person questions. Who you are.
Yeah, we will absolutely do that if you, the people, let us know.
And if not, then we did everything perfectly. And
exactly.
Until next time, JJ, how do you feel about losing Hill?
Who?